It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gate.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie, part of the Nielsen Media Coolbet Network, brought to you by our partners at Coolbet. If you want to bet on the Oilers to bounce back on Saturday against Chicago, you do it at Coolbet. You want to bet on the Royal Rumble, you can do that at Coolbet as well, even though it is scripted. You can still bet on it, which is incredible. Sign up for an account today. Two Guys is the code when you sign up for a 100% deposit bonus on initial deposit up to $200. Boys, what do you think of the haircut? What do you think of this haircut? It's not bad, right? Somebody say something, please.
Yeah, you know what? Next time, Dusty, you should take it all the way down. Just say, give me a bald fade. Yeah, say, give me a bald fade.
I've never had it that low. Like, this is a 3 on the sides.
No, tell them to do a bald fade. So that's like a less than a 0.
Well, I don't want that.
I've been bald fading.
You fade it up. So it goes from like a 0 to like a 1. So tell them like 0 to a 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, tell them go 0 to 1. Or like,
is that what you do when you have your really nice haircuts?
Yeah, I mean, but it's like it's less than a 0, so it's not even no guard. It's like first,
oh wow,
it gets the guard, and then taking like an actual like razor, and like at the bottom you're finishing it with an actual razor. So it's like it's all the way down.
Gauger, any tips?
Sounds exhausting.
Well, I don't have to do it. I sit there.
I had a great experience. I went to Mr. Barber by West Edmonton Mall. I had to go pick up some hockey cards at Wayne, so I pop in there. This guy named Anthony cut my hair. It was one of the best conversations I've had in my life. I'm not even talking like at the barber. I'm just talking like one of the best conversations I had in my life. It was great. Go see Anthony, Mr. Barber. He was great. It was amazing. I left there. I was just like, I'm coming back to this guy. I really enjoyed the conversation. Usually I don't like to talk to a barber. I don't like to talk to a taxi driver, Uber driver, whatever. But this guy was great. Really nice. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Gauger, speaking of fun, you're getting robbed of it because of a ridiculous weather forecast in Edmonton in mid-January, late January now.
Oh, Dusty, I was so looking forward to crushing hopes and dreams of ages 7 to maybe 10-year-old hockey players today. Yeah, it sucks. It's a Slurpee out there. I took my dog for a walk this morning, and I think there probably is a weight limit for ODRs too. So I just start sinking in there. But good news is the weather is turning. So
yes,
hopefully within the next week we're going to reschedule for the Shots on Gauge. Sorry, everybody. I know I was looking forward to everyone being there, but we'll
probably be good like a week from now because it's going to cool down real nice, and then it's going to warm up a little bit, right? So
yeah. It's but ridiculous that you plan an outdoor ODR
January 26th,
and you can't do it because of the weather. It's too nice, crazy.
I got home today, and I went out last night because there's just some leaves building up, and I was like, man, it's going to be sloppy tomorrow. So I went out last night, cleaned off the rink as much as I could, thinking, okay, now we're good. Come home today, and Tammy and Elizabeth had gone out shopping. Somebody was home, and I looked out the back window, and it looks like a swimming pool with 200 leaves floating around because I've still got leaves falling in middle January for some reason in my backyard, which is just absolutely ridiculous. I'm literally going to have to put on some bloody scuba gear this afternoon to go out, clear out all these leaves because it's going to snow and refreeze tonight. And if I don't get those leaves off today, they're going to be in the ice for the rest of the winter, and it's going to completely screw it up. So it's going to be a sloppy afternoon for me, boys.
I would invest in the maybe gazebo tent over top. Put some lights in there. Dusty,
that would be pretty cool.
I saw an invention on TV the other day. It's called a sucket.
Okay.
And so
just suck everything up. I still want the water to be there so it refreezes nice and smooth, right? So I'm torn here right now. I think I'm gonna have to hand pick every single leaf. It's gonna be ridiculous.
You need one of those pool cleaners, like to get the bugs out.
Yes,
extended.
I should go get one of those. Those are probably very available right now in Edmonton. Pool cleaners. Yeah, we can walk into Walmart. Yeah, where's your pool cleaners, please? You know what though? Gauger, that's not a bad idea. I might have to do that today. All right, boys, we got lots to get to. I got some fun little trivia that we're going to try at the end of the episode that just sort of randomly popped up after a trip to Value Village for my family today. So we'll get into that. It's 80s day at school tomorrow for Marshall. So Elizabeth and Tam went to Value Village to find the neon, right? So I found a few other things, but we're going to get into that a little bit. Let's start with the Oilers, guys. Losing to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Cass, I mean, what'd you see last night from this team? Or what did you not see that you were hoping to see?
Rust. I mean, it looked like they just took 3 weeks off with their execution. Like they couldn't make a play. Mentally, just a little slow, and execution was the biggest thing. I mean, how many turnovers did they have? How many times did they just give away pucks? How many times did they not break cleanly out of their zone or enter cleanly in the offensive zone? Like it wasn't like there was just one big grade A mistake that they made, which has bit them in the past. It was like it was just sloppy. It was sloppy, and they didn't execute, guys. That's what I saw, and maybe other people saw something different, and that's fine. But to me, they weren't as engaged as they have.
Engaged. I was just going to say that was a team, and the stats back it up. They were not engaged last night.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. I mean, you just won a whole bunch of games in a row, so I don't want to poo-poo all over them, because it's like you just won a whole bunch of games in a row at a really crucial time, which is really good. You still get 1 point out of it, so you get half a point, loser's point. Then you just got to go out and you got to close out the last game before the All-Star break here. I mean, if they lose the next one, then you kind of go, but yeah, it was.
They'll win that one.
Yeah, they better. It wasn't a pretty game though, guys.
They have lost to the Ducks and the Blue Jackets at home this year, which is then both teams were dead last in the league at the time that it happened. So yeah, that's not good. But Gage, you're like 27 giveaways to 10. I mean, that's a giveaway every 2 minutes essentially, and I think 4 forwards recorded a hit last night. So they weren't checked in last night, right? They looked like they were ready for an All-Star break, which is still another game away.
I just like how Cass said poo-poo. But
I say it all the time, I find. I don't know why.
That's a good one. That's equivalent of Cass swearing. That's
much, yeah.
That's true. Watch your mouth, Cass, you filthy bastard.
I liked the first 7 minutes. I thought they were all over them. Korpisalo made 3 really good saves. I think it was on, was it Nuge that he made a rebound save, at least 3 really good left pad saves that should have been goals. So right then, and what turned it for me is as soon as Columbus scored, they looked like the Oilers from November where, we got to do something. They completely stepped out of the whole way that they've been playing for the last few weeks. And I gotta what the third period was really strange to me, because they were leading and they could have just gotten ahead of everything from the last 2 periods and just had one good solid period, and Columbus took it to them. That line was awesome. That first 10 minutes, they had them hemmed in. Line rips it off the bar. I have to say the Blue Jackets looked really good in that third period. Part of it was the way that the Oilers were playing, but it was upsetting that you had that type of effort going into the third with a 1-goal lead against a bottom tier team. That's not acceptable.
Cass,
was that Draisaitl's worst game of the year last night?
Yep. I mean, it was it's like you've ever seen people play the game pinball, and when it's just like you keep throwing it up there, but it keeps coming back at you, no matter how many times you hit it with the paddle. And
is that how you're supposed to do it?
No, well, pinball, yes. Hockey, no. But I feel like that's kind of how his game went yesterday. Like everything he threw out there just got thrown right back at him. Like it just couldn't get anything through. Couldn't connect. It just wasn't a good night for Draisaitl. And that's going to happen for guys on occasion. But the issue was that it happened on the night where there was like 8 other guys that also weren't having a night. And we always had coaches, and Gage, I don't know if you ever heard this. We always had coaches saying because not every game is going to be your best game. Is on any given night, if you're in a winning, on a good winning team, you're going to have 20% of your guys playing at their absolute best. You're going to have 20 or 60% of your guys playing normal, like average for them, like they're about normal, and then you're going to have 20% of the guys that are playing kind of, that aren't at their peak over the course of the regular season. It's like, and if you get to that number, usually you win most of your hockey games. So 20 at their peak or over, like excelling beyond, 60 at their average, and then 20 below. But the Oilers were probably like, I don't think they had anyone excelling. Skinner was fine. Skinner was good. He was okay. Beyond that, you're just like, how many guys could even put into that average game category? Bouchard, no. Broberg, no. Kulak, no. Barry, no. Nurse, no. CC maybe average, like okay, like he was
tough night for the blue line.
You have 5 guys where you're just like, that was an off night for all those 5 guys. So you have 5 out of your 6 D-men where you're just like, that was an off night for them. You're not winning a hockey game. And then you throw in Draisaitl and McLeod. I didn't think was very good, and a couple of the other players up front. You just didn't have enough guys going.
They've played like poo-poo with those jerseys every time they've worn them. So maybe
Which is too bad, because I like those jerseys.
I like the way they look, and I like Skinner's new gear.
Skinner's gear.
Jerseys.
I gotta steal that somehow
pretty sweet.
at the end of the year. That looks really nice as Cousin Eddie. Really nice.
Really nice, Clark.
But, I have to say, I know Draisaitl was going to have a shit game. It was in the first period, and they were changing, and he could have just bumped it back to the defenseman and just kept it simple, and he turned around and tried to sauce it over 3 guys' sticks to hit a guy standing still at the far blue line, and I was like, and they came back 3-on-2, and he was like straight-legged coming back in. I was just like, wow, dude, that's a tough play to do when every one of your guys is changing. You're dead tired, and you're trying to make a ridiculous pass through a bunch of players. Just a dumb, stupid play that almost Skinner made a great save, a glove save, I think, on that one. So I knew he was he was done after that one.
Well, so Draisaitl and his body language was a big topic in the old James H. Brown inbox on 1260 today. And then Rashad brought it up in the mandate on an offside. I don't know if you heard it, Cass. He said he skated directly to the bench, just kind of sat down. He wasn't sure if they were going to make a change or not. Where do we come out on this whole body language discussion in general, Cass? Draisaitl exclusively last night, and then just overall in general, the impact of leaders with poor body language once in a while.
It has an impact. Leaders with poor body language has an impact. Like it's just like communicating. Body language is a part of communication. It says something. If I'm having a conversation with my wife and I'm just like,
yeah.
You're not supposed to do that?
Like, how do you think she's going to respond? Even if I'm actually and then if I tell her, oh no, I was actually engaged in that conversation, what do you think she's going to tell me? She's going to be like, no, you weren't. So yes, body language 100% matters. And from your leaders, it 100% matters, because, keep it inside the family. If my daughter, if we're like, hey, let's clean the house as a family, we're going to put away the toys and clean the basement. And I'm just like, oh,
that is the worst.
No, if I'm like that, like if my wife's like, hey, we're going to do this, and I'm just like, like, how do you think my kids are going to respond? They're looking up to their dad. They're going to feed off of my body language and my attitude towards this, and it's going to impact what they're doing, because they're always going to be like, oh, I can't believe we have to do this. Like that, it's incredibly important. Now, I think when you have to look at a game, like, you're going to say, okay, there's going to be occasions when it's going to happen, when guys are frustrated. You can't expect them to be perfect with it. I totally understand that. You're going to see some frustration at times. You're going to see disappointment. You're going to see that squeak out a little bit. It can't be something that's consistent. It really can't be. I don't think you can have that bad body language all the time and not have it.
Like, you can't be JT Miller slamming your stick every single game, yelling at everybody all the time. Like,
well, that's a different situation because they suck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. The Oilers have won 6 in a row. So what's really there to be angry about?
And you have the Oilers, who we're hoping and who think are a playoff contender and a Stanley Cup contender. That's dramatically different than the Vancouver Canucks and JT Miller, who's a good player on a team that's bad that wants to win. And does body language matter there? Yes, of course it does. But I think the effects of it are more muted because just of the situation around the team. So yeah, I don't like the body language. And again, I'm not poo-pooing on Draisaitl here. Again, you know, there was a lot more guys than him and body language through and through, and it wasn't a night for him. You're going to have nights like that. So I don't think his body language is horrible all the time, but it is something as a leader you need to be cognizant of. You have to be. I think you absolutely have to be.
Gager, he does get described as a little bit pouty once in a while, right? Like that's kind of been a thing with him.
Yeah, but I find the difference, and this is I'm just gonna do it. Taylor Hall used to have really piss poor body language. Like,
that's true.
He would come across the far blue, and if he didn't get the breakaway pass, he would just saunter over to the bench, like all pissed off. Leon's body language isn't so much that; it's more pissed at the game itself. That
That's
it's not
true. Yep.
like he's not blaming. He doesn't have the language.
Teammates.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah,
he's not
there's a difference in that too.
That's
a good
huge
point.
difference. So his body, like that type of, is okay. I think at times, not all the time, because then you do turn into JT Miller and you're Charlie Brown's teacher, where it's just won't. Oh, he's mad again. Like it doesn't affect you as much anymore at that point, right? So I think it's fine to show that Leon's, because it does show he cares, and he cares in the right way. He's not caring because I'm great and you guys have to play better. He's upset on the whole. I think that everything is not going.
And at himself, right? Like
that's a good
himself.
point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Gager. I think because there is a difference between that and between that, you know, the Taylor Hall. Because ask how many guys really like Taylor Hall's that played with him when he was in Edmonton. Ask how many guys really appreciated his body language and thought that was beneficial for everybody.
Yeah.
Not a long list. Not a long list in that situation. Hey, so we had that great back and forth about the all-in discussion earlier in the week. And, just to quickly follow up on it, because there's so many guys available, like that people say Gavrikov and this guy and this guy and this guy. But, Cass, is there actually like a guy that you've legitimately heard is available that you think is the missing piece? Like that would be the all-in piece? Because I watched Gavrikov last night. I'm like, this dude's not moving the needle significantly, really, if they go out and give up a first round. Would he help their blue line? Sure, he'd help their blue line. Are they going to be a Stanley Cup contender because of that addition? No. To me, that doesn't change the opinion of it. So, I don't know. Like, is there somebody – I just don't know if there's somebody out there that's worth the all-in crazy, wild, and nutty move, Like, I don't know if there's out there, which makes it difficult to have that conversation, really.
Yeah, well, what do you mean? I guess what do you mean by game breaking? Because I don't think there's anyone available that you're going to be able to bring in that's I don't know, that is absolutely game breaking. Like you're not bringing in a number one defenseman. I know I've been harping on this for a while. You probably know where I'm going, but I still really, really like the idea of bringing in Joel Edmondson as a left-handed defenseman who plays a steady defensive game and can play a shutdown role for you. That's big. He's rangy. He's going to help your PK. To me, he's a really good fit, but I don't necessarily think you have to go completely, totally all in with him. He's got more than 1 year, so you're not just renting a player. You're actually getting something there. I just don't know what the cost is going to be because the cost could be too much. Montreal could be asking too much if he's even legitimately on the table from him because you've heard some conflicting rumors on that or not. So I don't have anyone pegged that's like, this is the guy. I lean towards Edmondson. He'd be the one I'd be looking at the most if he's available. But yeah, it's a little bit of a tough year for that, Dusty, and that there's not a ton of guys that aren't just rentals, and the ones that have term aren't necessarily fits. Like Erik Karlsson, I don't think is a fit, even if you could make the salary cap work.
Yeah.
Chychrun,
Klingberg, I don't think Klingberg's a fit for what they need. I just don't really see it.
Yeah. So some of the guys that are available aren't fits. And especially guys with term, because I think you want term. You want term if possible. If you're selling the future, you need at least 2 years with a guy.
Gager, would you give up a first-round pick plus for Edmondson?
No.
No, your first round pick's going to help you in 5 years.
No. No, I don't. After last night, you look at this game last night. I just don't. What they have has to get to a much higher level because, like you said, the one piece isn't the final piece to the puzzle here.
It was last year when you had a deep playoff run. You brought in one piece to your forward group.
You can't live in the past. All right.
I'm just saying it can have a difference. It has a huge
That is true.
I think it made a massive difference.
Yeah, but everyone was playing at a way higher level. There were guys playing at a higher level injured last year than they are this year healthy, or maybe they're not healthy. I don't know, but I just have a very the go all in thing to me. And even Hernan Salas, did he say that on? I got to talk to that shitty producer.
Hernan did say that. He said he tends to lean with Cassian and Tommy G on this one. Not you, Gager.
I am done. Like when I'm slinging wieners at Commonwealth soon, a couple gonna be thrown Hernan's way on the side. And so this is ridiculous. But no, I just don't think it's there right now. To gamble on this, I mean, there has to be term. You can't get a rental because they haven't shown me that they're there this year yet.
I haven't once said rental though this whole time that they need to get a rental. I think you want someone with term and you need somebody with term.
He's got one more year after this, right? So
yeah. So you get two.
I said this morning on my show, and let's say they bring in somebody, an Edmondson type, Cass, right? He's not a top pair guy. Like your top pair would still be Nurse and Ceci, and I just don't see a Stanley Cup being won with Nurse and Ceci as your top pair. I mean, unless Nurse is playing at his all-time best. We've seen some pretty elite times from Darnell Nurse, but he would have to be at that, and one of their goaltenders would have to be on a heater as well. And I don't know if, I mean, does bringing in a body like Edmondson or Gavrikov or whoever the guy is, does less of a workload make Darnell Nurse significantly better, Cass? Could that be an angle that you look at?
I think so because I think, and if we look at the last, the little winning streak that the Oilers had here, I think Darnell Nurse for the most part was much better, and I think part of that reason he was much better was even getting paired with Desharnais a little bit, and Desharnais being able to play on the penalty kill. It took some of that I need to be a mean, tough physical defender off his plate, and I think it made him better for it. And I think adding in a left side defenseman that plays the same side as Darnell to take some of those minutes, not all of them, but take some of them, I think that makes Darnell better. When he knows he doesn't have to conserve energy the same, when he knows there's going to be other guys that can help with matchups against other top pairings, that where he knows that if someone else is getting some of those matchups against other top lines, that Darnell may be able to think about generating some more offense, which he loves to do if able, because he's not as concerned only about protecting the front of his own net or having the puck not go in. So I do think it helps. I do think it makes it better. I mean, you raise a valid point. Is that still good enough to win a cup? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That you raise it. It's a totally legitimate question.
Gager, any thoughts on that before we move on to the Canucks here?
Oh, I've thought all year that
you
need to reduce Darnell Nurse's minutes. He's so much better when he can play it, because at times he looks like he's playing it like 80%. He can't play that way and be effective. He's not good enough to do that. He needs to be playing at 100%, and you need to reduce his minutes. And you don't want to do that with a $9 million or whatever player. Like, he should be able to handle that and play it. But I just think for him, man, I love it when he's playing just over 20 minutes a game. He looks really good and doing a lot of good things. Once he starts getting more, it just seems to fall apart.
All right, let's flip over to the Canucks. A couple of things out of Vancouver. First of all, quickly, let's hit on this. Kuzmenko signs 2 years, $5.5 million per. So good for this guy. He comes in on the small deal, ends up he's got 20 goals already. You guys watch this guy much? I've seen him a few times. I don't mind the way that he controls the puck in the offensive zone. Like, I think he knows how to use his body very well. I think he's been a good addition to the Canucks. 5.5 for a couple of years. I mean, if he's going to get you 25 to 30 goals, which he's capable of, Cass, 5.5 is not too crazy, right?
No, not too crazy. Not too crazy. I think the longer you waited this season, the more you're going to have to pay him. He gets a little bit of certainty. You're getting a good player. So, it's not like it's a crazy huge contract. I thought it was reasonable for both sides. I was like, yeah, that's with what he has done this year. It seems like it'd be fair. Yeah.
Gage, you see this guy much? You watch him much?
Yeah, I like the he looks like a good team guy. He's a big smile. Guys seem to when he scores. I like the way he scores too. He's got a bit of an edge to him. Goes to some hard areas. It's too bad things didn't work out with Edmonton, because he would have been an interesting piece to a puzzle. Because I think we haven't seen the best of him because the Canucks have sucked so much. So yeah, I like the cost. I like the term, and I like the player.
All right, the Canucks, so they win that first game. Chicago's awful. Shots were like 48-14 or something. It was brutal. Then they lose last night, though, 6-1. Rick Tocchet, I don't know if you guys watched any of his postgame after. I mean, he's pretty honest about it. Basically called his team soft and said that there's going to be significant changes here. It's coming in hot. Cassie's definitely coming in hot. He's very different than the guy that they just had. Is this a recipe for success? I mean, you can't be surprised by the way Tocchet's coming in.
No. Well, because the way it got read to him was that they don't play with structure. They don't play very hard. That's why, Gaudreau was fired for Tocchet. I mean, it is, and I think you see a swing, and I think, typically you do. Like, teams react. I mean, that's why Tortorella's back in the league coaching. Is generally you have a perceived issue, and it's like, instead of going to a middle ground on the issue, we're going to go all the way the other way to make sure this never happens again. And I wonder if it's going to just ultimately cause more problems. And actually, maybe I'll clarify. I think it gets better for a year. I think you probably have some challenges the rest of this year. Maybe he squeezes a little bit more out of them. I think they're better next year. And then I think if he continues to preach the same message and approach it the same, you're going to run into a shelf life for Tocchet, because guys will just start to tune it out. Yeah. And part of it too is probably
go ahead, Cass.
I think it's measured too. Well, I just was going to say it's probably it's calculated.
Yeah.
Like,
this is his plan, right? He's like, this is how it's going to work.
This is how it's going to work. And if I come out and I say this, like, basically just to let the guys in the room know that I mean business, right? Like, this, I'm not joking. I'm going to talk about this. Like, it's a little bit of gamesmanship in there too, or psychological warfare, which isn't always good. But yeah,
I was going to say, Gage, what do you think the players think of this coming in like this?
Yeah, I don't. Do players really listen to that stuff, though? That's what I'm thinking. Like, do they listen to the coach?
Yeah.
I never listen to the coach in post game. They might hear about it from the media, right? And what are they going to say? They're going to give you the
your coach
generic,
called you guys soft.
We're not good
and
in
blah, blah, blah,
We're not good. There's a lot of areas.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if he comes in guns ablaze, it's going to be, oh, geez, this is different. And if it starts affecting ice time, guys are going to, there's going to be changes in the way people play. I didn't know. See, the thing is, I haven't watched Tocchet coach. I don't know what type of coach he is. Usually you get an old player like that, and not as ton of experience. They tend to lean more to a player's coach side, like opposed to guys maybe that have coached for a long time that kind of separate themselves from the player a little bit. And I just find it weird that he's coming in. Well, who knows what he's in the room, but to say that, he's not lying.
Oh,
So
so that's the other side to it.
they are soft and don't have any structure. So
Yeah.
I just found it funny, the one where he didn't have words, and I just, all that was going through my mind was Dallas Aikens, and I was
Dallas
just
Aikens,
hearing and then the soundtrack
Yeah.
started going. So might be something there.
All right. Well, it's definitely something to monitor here the rest of the way this year. Before we wrap, you guys watch Seinfeld? I mean, seems like it, but you guys like watch every episode of Seinfeld, like you know it well, type of thing, or?
I don't know it well. Like I know some of them well. I don't, because I was a late Seinfeld bloomer.
Okay.
Like I didn't.
You're like my wife. My wife hasn't seen every episode, but she's seen a lot of them. We're gonna start a rewatch of it, so it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna like that.
Great.
That'll be good.
I know every episode.
Yeah, see, that's The Office for me. Is like I know every episode of The Office. Yeah. But so Seinfeld was a later life. Like I didn't start watching Seinfeld till more recently, and it's brilliant.
Really?
Absolutely brilliant.
It is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, Tammy and Elizabeth were at Value Village today buying 80s gear for Marshall, and they brought me home a Seinfeld trivia game. So I want to run these by. It looks like there's 2 questions on each. There's like an easier question and then a harder question. So I'll just run through the easy questions. You can play a game here. I feel like Gager might run the table on this, but we can work on it together. Let's just see here. Let's just see how it goes. So let's go here. To thank Elaine for helping him get a job at Pendant Publishing, what does George buy her?
Holy,
No idea.
what did he get her?
This is a classic. A cashmere sweater, but he bought it on discount because there was a red dot on it. Remember that?
There's a red dot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's go this one. Elaine describes her new boss to Jerry as someone who wears a classic Cortman's duster, beige corduroy collar, 100% cotton canvas, high waist, 9 pockets. Who is he?
Peterman.
Peterman. Yeah, exactly. Cass, I'm almost jealous of you if you like don't know these, because you could still watch it and be treated to such a gem.
I've seen the cashmere sweater episode.
That's such a good one.
Sort of remember that one, but again, it's like The Office. I can tell you what's going to happen like the whole time. Like I'll be telling my wife, because we've watched it so many times. It's like it's what we fall asleep to.
Yeah,
we'll have it on, and then
it's a great show too. Yeah,
and it's just like I can quote that one. Seinfeld not as much. I just know the generalities. So.
All right, Gage, let's try this one. When Elaine chooses to go with Kevin, a.k.a. Bizarro Jerry and his friends, who asks if he can come along?
George.
George. Yeah, that's right. Total George move. Total George move. When George hears that NBC wants a second meeting about the TV show, he tells Jerry that they might make as much as this Cheers star. Who was that?
Is it Shelley Long?
Oh, it's Ted Danson. Cash, you knew that one? You're shaking. I think the Ted Danson.
No.
All right, what about this one? Who said this about whom? He just happens to be a little eccentric. Most geniuses are. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Well, who said that though?
It was Kramer. Who was he saying it about?
Yeah.
This one stumped me a little bit today.
Latka?
No, the Soup Nazi. Classic Soup Nazi.
Oh, that's classic Soup Nazi.
Yeah. No.
That's right.
Fun game.
That's a good game.
I can't wait to play this. Yeah. And I'm like, Tam and I have been looking for like a 20-minute show to watch. Just something quick, like, like when the kids are having lunch and stuff. And we couldn't find anything great. So I said, have you seen all of Seinfeld, like start to finish? She goes, no. I said, we're doing it. She goes, you'll watch that again? I watch episodes on replay, just on rerun at night, and I still laugh every single time I watch it. So it's kind of like this, right? Same sort of thing.
The new, the Last of Us, though, Cass. Oh. I wish you would get into it a little quicker.
Well, I know it because I played my little brother. So my little brother, years and years and years ago, he pulled my name for Christmas, and that's what he got me. Was Last of Us for PlayStation. So I played it. It was fantastic. So I know what's going to happen. Kind of the main points. I don't doubt that they've changed certain things along the way.
That's the thing. That's what all these gamers are saying is that they're keeping to the storyline of the game.
Yeah. Well,
So if you finish the game,
you couldn't deviate.
You know what's going to happen.
Deviate. You know what's going to happen. But in I will say in defense, because the story they shouldn't have changed, and I'm glad they didn't, because the story was stellar. Like it was fantastic. It was emotional. It was It made you angry at points, like in a good way. Like I always think, like, you know, when you care about characters, like in a book or something, and it's like, you know, if something happens to one of them, you feel it, like you get upset. That's a good barometer for me. I'm like, when the show's good, when the writing's good, when I care about the characters and what happens to them. And even though it was a video game, that was one of the very few that it was just like you feel it. And they did a tremendous job of writing in that. Yeah. Wow. And for the video game. And that's where with the show, like if they stuck to it and with some of it, it's I don't want to ruin anything. So that's all I'll say, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm too cheap to pay for and wait like month by month, because it's just like I have enough TV stuff. So we'll probably do the 1 month rental and binge all of it. Yeah. And then cancel.
Gage, you're better than Walking Dead?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, the last
first 2 seasons. Yeah, last couple of years.
Last couple of years, blows it right out of the water, because it's a whole different way of looking at that kind of stuff. Yeah. I love this adaptation of video games to the big screen. There hasn't been a lot of great ones, but this is along the lines of The Punisher and Daredevil it's on Disney Plus now. But the new one that is coming out soon is Assassin's Creed, and I pray that
I hope they do a good job of that.
Ezio is exactly, because what a story.
You know what other one I hope is really good that they're coming out with, that I have high hopes for, because the casting is really good too, is Borderlands.
Oh geez, I never played that.
Yeah, so it's,
and you guys are really into these video game stories, eh? Well, this is what I only play sports games. This is blowing my mind.
Borderlands has been around. I didn't like sports games. Shouldn't say I didn't like sports games. I didn't like playing like NHL and those, because it's like I was doing it all the time, and so I liked having something separate to take my mind off it. Because for me, it was like, okay, if I need to not think about this or how I'm getting healthy scratched every night, like I'm gonna go do something else that doesn't have to do with it, so I'm not thinking about it. Borderlands would be really awesome, because it was really well written, super tongue in cheek. I don't know what they're going to do with the story, because it didn't have too much of a story. That'll be, you know, can they pull a story together? But it has full, like, it's super, super pulpy, like in pop culture. Like there's a ton of pop culture inside of it, where they make fun of everything, like everything's satire in Borderlands. And so you could do it pretty well. Like I think Kevin Hart's in it. You got a couple, like it should be hopefully really, really good.
I'm just excited for tomorrow. Nintendo Switch drops and GoldenEye 007 for on the retro. Yeah, that's going to be a huge one for me. Last time I played a shooter game, actually, and I loved it. It was amazing. All right, boys, have a good weekend. I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Once again, huge shout out to CoolBet, presenting sponsor of 2 Guys and a Goalie. I know many of you already have an account there, but if you don't, use the code 2Guys when you sign up. You get a nice little deposit. Talk to you next week, boys.
Later.